welcome back to Project Independence and You, Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. I'm Rebecca Miller, along with Otto Los, and now we are in the segment of Talk of the Town, where we hear everything that's going on in the town. Christina Liu, who is the radio show producer, of course, and again, a great show. Ron Fatula, great information, so timely too. You know how everything he talks about in that, Newsday and article, and how things are. It's like Otto was saying, you need a lawyer. You really do.
Well, that's sitting here listening. Ron is a part of the radio show family at this point. He is our go. We've had him on so many times because Becky made that joke saying just when you think you know everything, you realize you don't know anything. And it's so complicated. When I sit here and I was listening, and he explains it so well, but what it really was showing, how important it is to really, once again, we'll go back to our mantra of pre-planning and how important it is to plan. And doing that is just so important, to really sit down with an elder law attorney, and go over this and everyone's situation as the examples. You guys are bringing up great examples because it's not these blanket statements you really can't make, because everyone's life circumstances and living circumstances, can get complicated, and it's just so important to get all these things figured out. So it's not, Otto, I know you've mentioned many times, about being the executor in certain situations and it just being a complete, mess.
Disaster.
Yeah, so it's so important to, have as much in place, as possible, and just the whole Medicaid piece. I'm always so amazed when Ron, he could just do a whole segment on just that, because it's, there's really so many things you can do, that can really help cover the cost, if it goes down that route of a nursing home or something, and it's,
I think a very important part of the whole thing is I don't think you can just go to a lawyer and say, okay, I think you have to pre-think about
absolutely.
your circumstances, put all the information together, and if you think you're going to come up with the solution, great. But the chances are, we've been listening to people for years now talking about these topics, all right?
Yeah.
I would be the last one who would try to fix my own situation with my knowledge.
Absolutely.
But what I would do is, I now would be in a better position based on all the things we've heard to gather, what do you want to accomplish?
Yeah.
Your circumstances, what's in your situation? And then explain that to somebody who knows what they're talking about.
And the best thing, and I thought that was a perfect way to really end his segment, was, how just to gather the entire family, and it's just have a sit, because then it's that's really, it's let's everyone get on the same page. I believe that all the time in my own family. It's all right, let's just iron this all out. Everyone knows everything. So it's not, all these questions. Everyone can ask what they want, and just understand it all together, because I think, me explaining, the plan, as opposed to, if Ron was my lawyer explaining the plan, is going to be, he'll do a way better job than me trying to, navigate that. And I think it's just so important. And, it's just so complicated because things are constantly changing, and that's why I love having him on often to give these updates and these timely things, Beck. And, I'm in a mother-daughter situation too, just like you, Beck, and I thought it was very interesting, that article as well. So to bring these things up is,
Now, Rebecca, you mentioned in that segment about the fact that recently in Long Island, the governor talked about having it wide open, that you could do whatever.
Accessible apartments.
And it got killed almost immediately by a lot of people. Me personally, I think that what you two guys do is great. I think it's needed, and to believe that everybody can live in a nice one-family home. I grew up in a two-family home, row houses in Queens, all right? Nothing wrong with it as far as I was concerned. And I think that the dynamics of the economy and the need for family to be together a little more than people have been over the last number of years is there, and it comes by having homes. Maybe you can't just open it up so you can rent it to whoever you feel like.
Right, right.
Well, that's where I think it gets complicated. You know what I'm saying? Like Beck and I are both in situations where we're with, she's with her mother. I have my mother and my father upstairs, so it's like a little bit of a different category, right? Then we're not just free will, opening it up to.
Right, right.
And that's where it gets, and I understand that concern, that people have, you don't want like any, like no rules at all. So I totally, I get where it can be a little controversial, but Otto, you brought a point. I very early on, I mean, when we were buying the house, I sat with my mom and Jay, we had our family meeting and we were like, this is what we want to do. And we all were on the same plane. And I am so thankful, especially during COVID, everything, like it was just to be able to have our family unit all in one place. And we were able to rely on each other and help each other. It gave a lot of comfort. It helped, on both sides. So for my situation, and listen, you can't get closer than my mother and I, so it works for me. I understand it might not work for everyone's family dynamics, but it's certainly, and we all know.
Well, yours is like a mother-daughter setup for both of you, but it could be a sister and a brother who can't afford to buy a house.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, my brother like just moved out not that long ago, so he was also part of the mix too. And
yeah.
Do you remember? I mean, the whole accessible apartment thing that was shot down. Keep in mind too that it's not just for the person trying to find housing on Long Island, but it's for the person who has a house who can't afford to stay there, or maybe needs help or assistance. But I agree, it can't be a free for all. Just anyone can move in, because there are issues that we need to have protective things in place. But I remember, I think Nassau County, do you remember the program? It was
we
like
did. So there was when I first started, it was a program called Home Share.
Home Share,
it was actually and I remember I was an intern at the time, and Paul and I
remember that. Yeah.
Was it a nun in Floor Park?
Well, she was a branch. Yep, that was part of it. Yep.
Yeah.
And it was an amazing concept. For a senior who was living in a house. And then there'd be stories you would hear that, the cases where it really did work, and a college student or something would, move in the room, and there was different guidelines, and it would really be beneficial because it was helping the student who couldn't afford, housing. And then it was beneficial, as, you had said, to the senior themselves. So, but it's hard because you have to really take a leap a lot of times to be part of something like this.
A lot of vetting for that kind of match.
So it was hard. There was a handful of cases, that people agreed to do it, but a lot of people, it was a tough sell, and I get it, so it's hard, but I think it's important to like have these things available. Listen, it might not be right for you or your circumstance.
Well, I have a good friend from years and years ago. She used to say, what we have to do is we have to buy an estate somewhere on Long Island and get maybe 6 or 7 families to pitch in to buy it. And we'll have
the commune.
That's what my family always says.
Exactly what it was.
We always say, because
I thought it was a really good idea.
Well, that's what our ideal situation is, to have our little family compound.
Yeah,
said,
you have your central place, and then you have all your own little wing,
That's what we always laugh and say, because we're obviously it's been a joke, but then you think about how expensive the situation Long Island is, especially, and right now
taxes, property taxes.
Yeah, it could get
like
heavy,
a mini Marriott,
Yeah, so we were saying, hey, like, listen, let's just go buy land and just live off the land on a commune,
Yeah,
it makes sense to me.
Right? Sometimes you're like, not such a bad idea, but
you better get along with the people, of course. But
that's right.
I think that one of the positive things that came out of such a tight market, that there's so few houses together, is really pushing, the need for 2-family housing, an accessible apartments or whatever it is, because there's so few houses on the market. And the ones that are on the market
are astronomical.
outrageous. Yeah,
Yeah.
the pricing is so high. I mean,
Yeah.
I contemplate maybe we should sell my house.
Well,
Where am
please,
I going
I
to
know
go?
we don't even.
You
I
know?
don't even. I'm going to hide my husband from listening to this segment because Jay, will drive around the neighborhood and see, and like probably every other day, he's like, "That's it, we got to." I'm like, "Where are we going to go?" Number one,
Right.
we're not like retirement age or anywhere near that, so
Right.
like we'd have to buy another house, and so he has these grandiose ideas because it drives him crazy, seeing like houses that haven't put all the work into it and stuff that we have over the
Right.
years selling for a lot of money. And
But then what drives me nuts is this need is clearly there. All right.
Mhm.
Yet when there's a big piece of property available or whatever, like in Nassau County, hardly exists. An example is up along the New Hyde Park Road and the Long Island Expressway. There was a big piece of property up there. So I'm not picking on Ritz-Carlton, but who comes along Ritz-Carlton
Yeah.
and they build $1 million to $3 million apartments. Um,
Yeah.
what I mean, and I understand that it's business, they're looking to make money and that's what makes the world go around. How do they get people to be willing to build a little village of 2-family homes, and by where the Nassau Coliseum was?
Yeah.
You know, we keep hearing over the years about the need. It's there. There's no question. Young people can't afford it. The cheapest apartments, these new buildings, what, $3,500?
Yeah, my brother's like rent is like more than my mortgage, and it's crazy.
Yeah,
In the paper yesterday, Otto, was this whole story about how all these restaurants and delis on 110 are just doing terrible because all the businesses, a lot of the banks and people are still working from home. They may not come back. Maybe along that corridor, they should start building residents and affordable housing, 2-family homes. And there's so much. I mean, there seems to be a lot of land. What do I know? I mean, but it's like there's so many issues on 110. It's like it starts in Amityville and then it goes through, Farmingdale, and then it goes into Huntington and Plain. There's so many different towns and things that are involved.
It's complicated, and then it gets then politics get involved for different. It's a very tricky topic, and listen. I mean, it's a hot affordable housing is literally, I mean, in one of the things that have been coming up back forever,
Yeah.
And
it's
but
a very
about it.
On Long Island.
It's difficult, and and it was so interesting back when you said that too. Like in other places, it's certainly more the commonplace about having families living together, and it's interesting. And I think like I said, for my situation, it worked, and for numerous reasons. We thought about everything and the aging process and stuff, and just being together and being able to be that kind of care unit, was important for us. And so I think that it's certainly something that we're definitely going to see more and more of, because I think it has numerous benefits, if, like I said, if you like each other.
So you got to have separate everything. That's my advice.
Well, exactly.
Kitchens, washer, dryer. You need to maintain your autonomy.
Yes.
While sharing this, and that
Absolutely.
has to be an understanding.
Yes.
Unless you're a rare family that you're just going to have every meal together and share kitchens. But it's important for the young family, and it's also important for the parents or the grandparents to maintain their own autonomy. And I think it helps them maintain independence because you don't want to enable each other. It's, I've learned a lot from this, as I'm sure you have too.
Of course, absolutely.
Where, my situation, we're older than your family, where I'm at, and my mom is, older too, and fully retired and all that kind of stuff. So, I don't know, Otto. I don't know, Kristina, maybe we should set up some kind of, advice program for people planning to call, if you're lucky enough to find.
Yeah, it's very, I'm interested to see kind of how this will play out and like the shift of, where that could go, because I've always been interested. I grew up in a very tight knit where we took care of my grandparents, and we were all my grandparents watched me. It was a very, intergenerational kind of existence. So and I think it's beneficial. So I'm always curious to see if that shift, will be, because I've certainly seen on Long Island there's a lot of separation for different reasons, so it should be.
Well, my mother lived with us for 11
Mhm.
years,
Right.
Right?
but it was not a mother-daughter house.
Mhm.
Now, my mother, fortunately, was a very easy lady to live with, but I think she would have preferred her own space, as would we, looking back on it,
Right.
preferred our own space, particularly when she got into a situation where she needed home care coming in. Ultimately,
Right.
somebody living there 24/7, we had to take the dining room and convert it to a bedroom for
Yeah.
this home care person. Um, you know, we did it,
Right.
Yeah.
but it was
Of
it
course,
was,
it's not
it
easy.
wasn't perfect, all
Yeah.
right. It's like one big happy family. We're all sitting there watching TV together, whatever. It would have been easier for everybody if the ability to separate it was
Right, because
there.
because I always say, like, having the separation is nice, and if you want to, all have dinner together, you have that option. It's not like a forced upon thing. I mean, listen, I'm like the light of, not to toot my own horn, but I'm like the light of, my parents. Like, well, so they love, I'll pop in and, but it's nice that, I mean, if a day goes by and I'm caught up doing something, you have that, separate space to do so.
Right.
But it's interesting. I'm curious to see, with the trends and kind of how things are going to move, so,
Yeah.
and you'll hear it here first. We'll be talking about it. So.
Yeah. Hey, great guest. Perfect timing. We do have to take a quick break. We'll continue with our guest, which is the three of us, Otto, Kristina, and Rebecca, with Talk of the Town. You're listening to Project Independence in You on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. We'll be right back.
WCWP is your home for great music and great conversation. You'll find all that and more on WCWP.org. Listen live on the web, check out the lineup, subscribe to podcasts, and stay up to date on the latest station events. Get in touch with us and let us know if you like what you're hearing. And find out how you can support or get involved at the only community public radio station serving Nassau's North Shore. Plus, sign up to get a free bumper sticker. It's all online at WCWP.org.
Oh, welcome back to Project Independence in You, Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. I'm Rebecca Miller, along with co-host Otto Los and Kristina Liu, our radio show producer, and also the guide for the talk of the town, and what's happening in the town, and also, of course, books all the programs. And this one was just as excellent as they all are. Kristina, the guest, just really kept us on our toes, and like we were saying, just a lot of really timely information, and really impacts your life and my life, and I mean, obviously Otto's life too, about these accessory apartments and living with older people.
Yeah, and it's just it's such a topic
living. Yeah.
that certainly spans whatever age you might be.
Right.
It's, and everyone's struggling on different levels, but it's a common issue. Especially here on Long Island, that I think it's important to talk about and think about, and just having Ron on, it's part of our whole, like, the radio show is is part of your circle of support in, like, trying to
Sure.
like brainwash you to prepare.
Yeah.
I think it's really, and just different, and that's the common theme when I think no matter who we have on, it's always something to add to your toolbox and to prepare and to, better your situation, or even get you thinking,
Mhm.
like, no one's
Sure.
saying, like, after the show, I'm going to go, that's it, I booked my appointment, I'm going to go iron my life out. But I think it's just important to get the wheels turning and thinking about, what you can do and who you could reach out to, and different things that are missing from your kind of like life plan and whatnot. So
It's not easy. Nobody's saying
no,
it's
it's
easy.
not, but it's informational, and
Yeah.
next week we actually have on this organization called Seniors Helping Seniors in Home Care Services. So they will be on. I'm interested to learn. We've had them on a couple of years back.
Yeah, I think
when
I
we first
remember.
started.
Uh-huh.
So we'll have them back on, which is certainly an important thing. And then we have on the following week, we have the importance of sleep topic, which is certainly one that I'm very interested in because it's not my strong suit. So that's in March. And then in April, we're going to have my other favorite topic of spring cleaning and downsizing. We're gonna kick off in April, which is really, I just love that because it's just like so inspiring, that topic. I always walk away and I'm super motivated, and those are really things that the tips and tricks that we get that I like always have in the back of my brain. And I'm proud of myself, guys. You would all be proud. I'm getting rid of things like left and right, that I've been holding on to for, and I'll because I told you we've been redoing our living room. So, and I'm really trying to like just, downsize. I have so many beautiful things that I, had hung up and stuff. So I really need to like scale back what I'm going to choose to hang up. But of course, I'm attached to things,
Oh, yeah.
so-and-so gave it to me. I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I mean, the thoughts that go on in my head about like what goes into it. But, my husband, all the spackle marks that were on the wall from things, that I had hung up over the 10 years that we've been here. He was like
10 years?
10 years. Yeah, it was 10 years in November. So I was like, I didn't realize how much I had hanging up until I saw like white spackle, marks everywhere. So he got a kick out of it, said there was more things hung up than a museum, whatever. But so I'm really just trying to downsize all that stuff. And then I had all these DVDs, right? And Blu-rays. So I had to save some because, it's just like for archive purposes. So I had to, do that. But then I had a lot. And I was like, let me see if I can get let me see if I can get cash, right? So I'm looking up all these different things. And I found this one site. And it was so great because it's called sellbackyourbooks.com. And you just scan, you type in your barcode of, if it's a DVD, if it's a book, they take back textbooks. And I think there was something else on there. But so you just put in, the barcode.
Wow.
And it'll pop up and say, listen, I had DVDs. It was like, 20 cents or something. All right, cool. Take my DVD for 20 cents. But it would tell you if they didn't want to take it, if they weren't taking it at that time, then you just put that aside, so, and then they send you get like a little tally that you use any kind of box you have, in my house, which isn't hard to find in my house. And then they send you a prepaid label. You stick it right on. I brought it over to FedEx. I self-scanned it. Boom,
That's
done.
amazing.
And you get a check. You can either get a PayPal, the money, or a hard copy check. And it was because Jay was laughing because I was sitting. He's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm gonna like just." He's like, "Are you playing library?" Because I'm sitting in there. I'm like, I really looked like I worked at like the library. So
that's so funny.
Listen, it wasn't like you're not getting an astronomical thing, but it was just so nice. And then the ones that they didn't take, I donated.
Now, do they just take CDs or?
Yeah, so and you could just anything with like a barcode. That it was. I think it was CDs, DVDs, and books.
Oh
Books?
wow!
Yeah, because I put books in with my DVDs. I had a couple of books that I wanted to get rid of.
What's the name of the site?
It's called sellyourbooks.com.
Wow. Do they have anything?
Great, and then when I scanned it in, like a day later, I got an email saying, your order has been processed, and it was just really seamless.
That's amazing.
And it felt good, and you felt like, and then my husband had a bunch of video games that he wanted to get rid of. So there's a local store in Levittown near us, which I really liked. And we went there and he got a lot more money for his video games than I got for my DVDs, but
my kids do that. Yeah. GameStop.
Well, I have a whole box of watches and old silver plated, not silver, cutlery type stuff. And it's dragging the box around for a while now.
Yeah.
And I don't think the watches are worth much because they're not big brand names. They go back from family, but none of them are Rolexes or, and I'm just wondering if there's a market for any of that stuff.
Well, you know what? We'll have to ask Barbara Feldman when she comes on April 1st.
That's a good question. Exactly.
I would definitely bring that up to her, but
because I've got a name for you I was supposed to get, which I do have, but it's too late because you got rid of everything. Cheapo CDs or something. It's
yes.
On Jericho Turnpike.
Oh yes, that's what it was called. I pass it all the time. That's exactly what.
Yeah.
But listen, I'm really trying to listen. This is just like preliminary. Organizing is just like something that is just an ongoing forever cycle, And I was thinking in my head, back to Barbara Feldman, when she was saying, like, you really have to, like, think, like, why am I saving these extra things if I haven't utilized it in, some odd years? What am I holding on to this? And that's something I always struggle with because I never want to be in a situation where I'm like, oh my God, I should have saved that screw, or I should have saved that,
Right.
it's like these silly things that pop in your head. And last year, when my husband and I redid our bedroom, we had bought this bed, and it has like the drawers and stuff. So two of the drawers I think had like a nick, so they had some replacement, but they kept sending the wrong replacement ones. So, and then they finally sent their own, but so they were just building up. So I had like 6 replacement drawers, right? And I was like, ugh. So I had it in my garage because I was like, let me save it. What if something happens to one of these drawers and I need to like replace my drawer, And then my husband, in this, because we had special pickup coming, he was like, babe, like, I think it's time to get rid of these drawers. Because they were like taking up a lot of room. Like we have 6 like big drawers just like stacked. And I was like, but what if? He's like, what are you really going to do to this, like, to break the drawer? You're not exactly smashing things. I was like, I don't know. Like, what if I'm vacuuming and I hit it? So he had to and I was like, you're right. I'm going to get rid of these drawers. And it freed up so much space that you don't even realize. I was like, I'm going to take my chances, and I'm just going to get rid of these drawers, but it's just like little things like that. And I was like, you know what, Kristina, baby steps. You made a good progress there. And it's just, I think it's so important because, we laugh about it, but it really helps just kind of clear out your brain and your life, when it feels good to kind of like purge things and, and get rid of it. So
I think I mentioned this before, but one of the things I did a couple of months ago was I went around to all the cabinets underneath the sinks and all the cabinets in the bathrooms and all the other little holes where we put stuff. And I put all of it on the dining room table. And I found out we had like 18 aspirins and 4 head and shoulder shampoos and, all of this stuff, and threw out about 2/3 of it.
I know.
Because it was either old or we had 4 of them. We didn't need 4 of them. And I brought them to the stop program.
Oh, good. Yeah. See, but like, just an example like that, like, and that's why it's anytime I find something, that's a good resource to be able to get rid of these things to make it easier, I think it's so important, with the stop program, that's an easy, seamless process.
Right.
So you're more inclined to do something that's not super cumbersome or, stressful. And speaking of the stop program, the next one is, I have to find it on my sheet. Here we go. March 19th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at North Hempstead Beach Park. So that is next Saturday. So you have a week to kind of gather up some stuff. They'll take a whole bunch of different things, including aerosols, household chemicals, pesticides, disinfectants, fertilizers, bulbs, thermostats, rechargeable batteries, TVs, computers, water-based paints. There's a whole bunch. And plus, then they have the Big Brother, Big Sister area that you can donate, rugs, sporting equipment, shoes, some, gently used clothing, stuffed animals, picture frames, table lamps, silverware, glassware, dishes, cosmetics even, so it's really a great mix of being able to kind of, get rid of, the stuff that's in your life.
Shredding of papers.
And then thank you. The big fabulous one is shredding because and you get to watch it, happen, and it's a very quick thing. That's what a lot of our seniors love to like sit there and you could watch, these boxes be, because I think we've all had experiences with the at-home shredder, and how time consuming it is, what you've seen, and then it eventually just goes kaput. You smell like a burning smell. And then it's so if you have a lot of papers, it's certainly not the best. So you could bring up to 6 banker-sized boxes to the stop program to get rid of that. So that is next Saturday from 9
That's a good amount.
Yeah, it's like, and I love the concept that you can you're in your car and you drive up to the different stations. They take out whatever you need. It was funny because I was just talking with Paula, the other day, because she was saying she has so many table lamps. And, they're good. You don't want to get rid of these things, and that's what I'm always struggling with. It's like, I had like these things. They're not broken, but I just got, something new, and so you don't want to throw it out. So I'm always trying to find, which is great because my brother, in looking for a house now, there's a lot of things. He's like, hold on to that. So I have just like a little area of stuff that he's willing to take of mine, because I can't, like, who wants to throw out a perfectly good lamp, but it's great. The stop program is something you could bring that to. So I think this, and picture frames. I mean, please, I could supply the world with the amount of picture frames in my house right now. So
Did you keep the picture frames or did you get rid of
well,
them?
that's my next, because see, this is my problem. This is where things get a little tricky. Is that I'm very good at like repurposing something, or if something's happening, being like, oh, you know what? Guess who has it and can grab it is me. So when things like that happen, I'm like, I'm really glad I kept that, 11 by 14 picture frame or whatever it is, so that's where it gets a little hard, because the prepper in me likes to have things, but then it's like, finding that balance. But I encourage everyone to invest in a little label maker, because I feel like if I have everything in a box and I label it, because that's what I've been doing too. And I feel like I'm channeling Otto, in like the list making of things, because I have a lot of cabinet space and closet space in my house. And I was just like, you know what? I need to like say like what is in each thing, because as we know, I like to throw a party now and again. So I had organized all my, because you'll actually behind me, this white thing in my living room is like a little barn. There's a cabinet space, and that's where I keep a lot of my party supplies. So they're all in separate baskets and bags. But
You
I was
know,
like,
you know the
let
show
me list this.
Hoarders.
Mhm.
You should be on the show that's the opposite of it. Like I feel like, or you should do some kind of documentary, because you're so into everything you do. It's
I
just
know.
like
It's
like
a problem. Way
it's
too many interests.
it's yeah. I
I
don't know
think,
what the
like by doing that, because I was like, now is my ample opportunity. I went through, I organized, and I said, listen, here's my bag of, if I want to have a, a peace sign party,
right.
that's on shelf one. If I want, I have like little things for kids parties, in different little bags, a gold party, whatever it might be. So I in my phone, I just started making like a list, and I was like, this way I could look, and in my big pantry closet, I was like, this is where, A, B, C, and D is. So it's just things for myself, because, listen, I'm a high energy person. I also can have high anxiety at times. That's why I'm always talking about, mental health kind of stuff. So having things as clear and easy to do and find for me is like what I need in my life, So on top of like it just making you feel kind of good, it just makes life a little easier. So
Yeah,
that's my
organization's a good thing. It's definitely therapeutic
It
for a
is.
lot of people. And, if that's what helps you and, you do it well. And it also, it's like helpful in life. It's just like someone who is, maybe has an addiction and a dependency on drugs, and their addiction they put to the gym now instead.
Right.
It's like,
Right.
Not that you have an addiction.
I have an addiction
with
to
organizing, but
to like printed cocktail napkins. I mean, that I could supply the world. That as a funny aside. When the whole COVID pandemic first, hit, and it was hard to find paper goods, and I was like saying to all my friends and family, I said, guys, I have like decorative cocktail napkins for days. So we are gonna be okay on that front if we need to like tap into the party supplies. And because I laugh at because it's a running joke with all my friends. Like they'll buy anytime they go, they'll get me one, because they'll be like, why on earth do you have like an endless supply? I said, because I just picked them up as I go. I'm like, oh my God, how cute is that?
See, that was one of the positives of COVID, was you were able to do these long-term projects
Yes.
because you couldn't get out of your house.
Yep.
So I did a lot of stuff.
I know we
during
all
that
talked
time.
about it. I mean, Beck and I were like organized our mug cabinet like 5 times, during COVID.
But now we're now in a new mode, in that we now just made a list, my wife and I, of the things that we really would like to do within the house. And we looked around, and some of the Venetian blinds look a little ratty looking.
Yeah.
So we decided, okay, the window treatment thing on all of them. And then this piece of furniture has been there for who knows how long. And we made a list.
Oh,
And
I
if you
love
can
that.
afford
That's
to
what you
do
should do.
refreshing your home once in a while is not a bad thing.
It's not. And it's very, and it doesn't have to be the most expensive thing either. I was laughing, because as I had mentioned, my brother and his, home buying journey, he'll look at stuff and, you don't really realize certain things, how much things cost and stuff until you're in it, because he said to Jane, how come you guys didn't totally redo your kitchen? I was like, because it's like really expensive, James.
Right.
So we try, my husband and I really try to, do kind of like some kind of project every year. And obviously they vary in, finance, how much it costs. But, I was saying to him, like, there are like little things that you're able to do. Like before we redid our bathroom, listen, and it helps that I have a J, right? It makes life a little easier.
Yeah.
But, so we had, just changed the vanity out, right? And it wasn't an expensive vanity. And we did a DIY kind of backsplash thing, the two of us, because we like to get crafty. I mean, we did one in the bar, in my living room too, like a little sticky tile, like, backsplash thing. And there are these little kind of things that don't cost an arm and a leg, that can kind of give a little facelift, to your situation. And I think that's another thing, Listen, I grew up in a house that was like old, and I think that's why, coming into, my adult life, like I never want the house to get like that, so it's different things that I think is good. And that's certainly COVID, like COVID being in your house for so long, like just looking around, like you were seeing things that you never saw before, that you were like, oh my God, like how am I doing this? So it's,
well, that's part of your mental outlook on things. If
yes.
As you get older, and I'm in that category, you can get comfortable with the fact that this is how it is,
Yep.
and it's going to be that way till I croak.
Mhm.
Well, maybe once in a while, liven it up a little bit. Give it
Yeah.
a
Well, Otto,
facelift.
that's why you're so special, and having that outlook is really wonderful. And I
I mean,
think
agreed, you have to have money. You're not going to do a lot of it yourself.
no.
But if you have some money, you might as well spend it.
I like that
totally
motto.
agree.
Get that on T-shirts.
On that note, that's a great way to go to break, let me say. You might as well. So we'll be right back after a quick break. You're listening to Talk of the Town with Project Independence and You on Community Talk Radio, 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. We will be right back.
So I get this call from my grandma, and she's like,
"What's a podcast and how much does it cost?"
So I tell her, podcasts are like radio shows, but you can download them on any device and listen to them anywhere at any time, and they're free. And then she says,
"I see, but where can you find good ones?"
And I'm like, go to wcwp.org/podcast and check out the lineup of original shows, or download any podcast app on your phone or tablet and search for LIU Studios. And she's all like,
"Oh, that sounds easy."
And then she asked me what an app is.
LIU Studios podcasts, available on any podcast app. Those little button things on your phone screen. Just ask your grandkids.
Oh, welcome back to Project Independence and You, Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. I'm your host for this hour, this 2-hour show right now, along with our co-host Otto Los, who will be right back, and of course, Kristina Liu, the radio show producer, and also guides us through Talk of the Town, what's going on in the town, and also what's going on in her life. The most organized person.
Please, we're trying to get there. It's a work in progress. I'm permanently a work in progress.
It's always good to do something. I feel like it's always good. It's such an accomplishment when you have finished the day.
That's
and
right.
You've organized something, especially you thought you would never be able to organize.
Absolutely.
Right. And then and then you always think about the next project. Like there's no downtime. There's no, oh good, I could wait a year. No.
There's no time
plan
to rest in the world of organizing. Listen, and like my problem is any kind of my cousin had posted something funny because it was like, I need to get my life organized, and then the meme said, goes to Target and spends $300 on all kinds of like contraptions. So like that's totally me. It's like I need this jar to put, because Jay's like, what are you doing with all these glass jars? I was like, I'm organizing my life, and I'm putting loose leaf tea in it. It just looks pretty. Not sure why I needed to. It didn't exactly save space, but that's what we did. So listen, who knows?
All right.
But in other exciting news, we've been promoting what's coming up on the show in April. We left off with, of course, the spring cleaning and downsizing, and we're going to be playing. It's going to be a little different kind of an interview because it's going to be kind of a game involved in the interview, which should be really fun that day. But on top of that, then in April we also have Greg Balbera, who's from Right at Home. He's been on the show a bunch of times. He's going to be talking about developing a care plan and helping resistant seniors to accept care, which I think is going to be really helpful for all of us. Then we have April 22nd. We have kind of a panel discussion. We have someone from the Bristol, someone from the Alzheimer's Disease Resource Center, and another representative from the Sid Jacobson JCC, who are going to talk about finding Alzheimer's and dementia care in your community. You know, each one of them have different kind of programs that they're offering, so it's going to be an interesting kind of take on that. And then we have on April 29th, the Pull Center for Patient Safety Education and Advocacy. And also, a bonus, we have Supervisor Jennifer DeSena is going to make her radio debut on our show, which I'm very excited about. So she'll kind of give us a little recap about the state of the town, which should be great. So we are, you know, we have a lot of great shows coming, a lot of great information. I'm sure we're going to pick up a lot of golden nuggets along the way. So I want to tell everyone, if you know, you could listen to us, you know, live, obviously, on 88.1 FM, WCWP.org, or you can catch us archived on our Project Independence website, and plus on YouTube, the WCWP Studio YouTube page has all of our videos, and it's a great way to share it too, because that's why I really like it on YouTube. You know, I'm constantly sending guest information to people to treat, because it's great stuff, you know. So
there was a nice link to the YouTube site on seniorsafetyadvice.com. The two ladies that were here, they did a very nice job of recapping Project Independence and providing links right to the old show.
Yes, because you know, they said they want to promote it, and they said, "Can you send information?" I said, "Can I send information?" That's what I love to send information. I could talk about, you know, PI and the radio show all day long, and it's nice because, you know, we always say when once you're on the show, it's like you're like inducted in. You know, you're permanently locked in, and you become, you know, part of the whole resource of Project Independence, which is
and
really
kudos to Kristina. We're like making this an international show. Like,
that's
Dan,
right.
how do
And
you feel
again, because
about
in May we're zooming with Germany to talk about drumming for seniors and the benefits of these cool new exercise classes that are going on. So we're international people, so mark it down, you know. But
I've been actually looked up. There was a place in New Hyde Park that was doing this drumming, but I don't think it's there anymore.
Yeah, you know, and that's why we'll have to see, you know, because during COVID, unfortunately, a lot of programs had to close down and due to different requirements and stuff. So we will certainly see. But these things also, you know, they're available. There's a lot of online component to, you know, these classes I saw on their website. So that's definitely something that I think is an option.
Well, they've really got the ball rolling on Alexa, as far as I say.
That's right. And we'll have that. Otto had mentioned that last week about his journey with installing Alexa. Whisper her name, Alexa.
the Echo?
You know, for one of his friends in need who lives alone. We're going to be diving into this topic more about how to kind of get the word out to other PI members about all the benefits of that program. And Otto, you learned a new little feature, right?
A new trick,
well,
right?
Alexa, call Kristina Lou mobile phone.
Let's see.
Calling Kristina Lou's mobile.
Up, and there it is. I have my phone on silent, but you could see Otto is calling me right now. Hands-free, baby. You saw it here first.
Okay, Alexa, hang up.
But, you know, something like that, you know, because Rebecca brought up the great point to Otto about can, you know, that be utilized to call into a Zoom meeting, which it could be, you know. So there's a lot of things we're going to dabble into and hopefully kind of do different programs where we show, you know, our PI members. So we will be getting more information next week and kind of spreading the word on all of that. So I've been just preaching about it to everyone because I think it's certainly a wonderful, wonderful tool. Also, next week, we are so excited because we are back in person. The first in-person advisory committee in 2 years will be at Clinton G. Martin Park on March 16th at 10 a.m. And we also are going to do a hybrid kind of feature. So if you still would like to Zoom in, you could still call 311 or 516-869-6311 and get the Zoom information. So you could still do that too. We're going to have a bunch of wonderful speakers from our social workers and nurses, kind of talking about different programs that are up and coming. The supervisor is scheduled to be there, and I'm sure different town officials will. So it's just really, really nice to be all together. There'll be light refreshments, which is lovely.
Oh, I'm going.
Yeah. Beck said, mark her down. She wants that buttered roll
Refreshment.
instead.
How
But
light.
but it just really it feels good, that we'll be able to kind of all meet, and we're gonna be traveling to different kind of areas in the community. The following month, it will be April 13th. We'll be at Fuchilla Park, which is a beautiful facility in Carl Place, and it's nice to kind of visit different locations because I feel like the town has so many wonderful facilities that people might not know about. So we'll be doing that, and I'm sure we'll have a great guest for that too. So if you are interested in attending, you can call 311 or 516-869-6311 to get all the information, which I think is great.
Right.
We had mentioned it a little bit before, but the Pioneer newsletter, there has been progress. It is scheduled to be mailed out next week. So hopefully one day, probably mid next week, you will be getting in the home. But it's a great resource. Here's what it will look like when it comes to you. In it, we have, of course, the top 5 Alexa features to help seniors be independent. So that's a good kind of introduction to the Amazon Alexa world. We have our fabulous Otto Los about the benefits of getting up and walking and moving. Next to that, we have just kind of how to get motivated to do that. I feel like people will get more of a, as I look out the window, the sun is out. It's supposed to, I think this weekend, right? Or is it today? It's going to get dark, start getting darker later.
That's on Saturday
Tomorrow.
night, Sunday.
Yeah.
Which is always my favorite time of the year because
Right.
it just feels so good to have more sunlight. So I think hopefully this will encourage people to kind of get outside more and do some little fun exercises out there.
The flip side of that getting light later is that right now it's getting light earlier.
True.
And I'm finding it's waking me up early. So,
Yeah.
so now we're going to
UV
get some
rest.
darkness on the other end a little bit, maybe, which will be good.
Well, listen, you just gotta get darker shades, Otto. That's really what you gotta do.
I
That's
heard
part
someone
of the house that's on the list, by the way.
There you go.
Someone made a good recommendation about Spring Forward is why not start it on a Friday instead of Saturday, so you have 2 days to kind of start to adjust to it. Because what happens at Saturday
It's true.
night, Sunday,
Yep.
and then Monday comes, and it's like, wait, what's going on?
That's right. I like that, Beck. You know what, Beck? Put that into executive order right there.
I think yes, I think they should be doing that.
Well, there are people
like
that say it should be that way all year.
Right? Yeah.
Another
Don't mess with the
controversial
clock.
topic. There's a lot of opposing views on the whole thing. So
Don't mess with.
regardless, we also will have the 5 essential documents that everyone should have. This is from Ron Fatula. He submitted for our newsletter. We have a little blurb about the circle of support. We have a blurb about mindful eating. Of course, some radio show information, the transportation program, exercise, just some highlights, some mental health tips, some events that are coming up. So it is jam-packed with great information. And it should be sent out, next week, as I said. So if you do not get it by the end of next week, please call 311 and let us know, because I will certainly send one out to you and make sure you are on the list, because we really want to get this out to as many people as possible.
So,
and
Kristina,
it will also, the electronic copy will also be up on our website. So you were able to get that if you would like to.
I have a question for you. You mentioned daylight saving time. When did the concept of time start?
Interesting.
I mean, we had a sundial. You heard
Right,
about sundials. When did that start? How far back does this go? That people were on a 24-hour day program.
I feel like really far back. You know what
And
I
when-
actually just felt like you were doing? And this made me very happy because it made me think of our John Ryan. Because I felt like that was going to some kind of Kristina birthday countdown for a second.
Yeah.
But he was like, what number? How many? I was like, Otto was really just getting deep on us. So it made me smile inside a lot. But Otto, I do not know that. I feel like it's been going on for an extremely long time. Like
I don't know either.
I mean, we'll have to look that up now. It's
You know, in the
up,
spirit.
Otto. We have our director, our Wizard of Oz said 1500 BC.
Oh, there we go.
See, he's not just the director of WCWP. He's got all kinds of facts. And I like when he buzzes in, the silent buzz in he gives us.
Hey, Otto, can you confirm that with Alexa?
Oh, yeah.
Alexa, when did the concept of time actually begin?
Here's something I found on the web. According to cyberlenica.org, the evolution of the concept of time, from the first hunters-gatherers communities of the Paleolithic to the Newtonian physics, is shortly reviewed. Did that answer your question?
Not really.
Well, listen, I like that you just got like a full, and Dan said it's the first record of time. Daylight was always the guide.
That makes sense.
So there you go.
Well, what happened before 1500 BC? Did people just
Dan just buzzed in and said Otto's asking too many questions. No, I'm just kidding.
Otto, you're like in a 1960s kind of vibe. What happened?
Otto's getting a little deep.
Like, what's going on over there? Let's talk more about time. We'll have a show on time. Kristina, can you get?
Yeah, right.
You know what? I will have to
get
Mr.
somebody
Rolex
from
or
Boulevard.
Timex on the show.
I'll pull someone out.
Get somebody from Rolex or Boulevard to come on.
That's right.
Yeah, whatever.
That'll be next. But Otto, I really like that. Otto was getting quite deep on us very early.
Yeah. I was like, where are we going about this time thing?
That just put me over the edge with the 1960s comment. I have to really just regroup.
Okay, I'll pull you back. So I have a suggestion for an article or maybe even like something, a column for the newsletter. And I was just thinking when you mentioned John's name and how he was always so focused on positiveness, like no matter what it was, like, well, he always kind of found the positive way and then it would like then move on,
Yep.
And one of the things I taught in my yoga class and we talk a lot about, and I talked to John a lot about this stuff too, with yoga and Reiki and all that, that stuff is, and I kind of thought about this too, is, we wake up in the morning and what's the first thing we do? We stretch, we moan, we feels, we get out of bed. Before we even set foot on the floor, you know how we talk about breathing, just take a few positive breaths. Nice, full, positive breath in with positive energy. Think about something good, or if you can't, you just smile, and breathe in and then let go of your breath. So just start your day off with positive thoughts for you. And then you get up, and it's just such a good way to start the day. And you can just know you did something for yourself, even if you have a challenging day ahead, to know that you took time for yourself and that it's like, a whole under a minute to really do that. And so like a little positive column.
I like it.
That we have tips from, maybe people in the staff or anyone, things that, people do during the day, like a little light bulb, positive tips by, and then we can feature someone or staff or,
I love it.
With like that, and
I
could even be a glass of wine at the end of the day,
or at the beginning.
I need an EpiPen, but that's another story.
It's
On
hard
that
to do.
positive note, we are actually at the end of the show. Another great, terrific show.
Great show, guys.
And Otto and Dan, great flow, good guests, great information. Next week, I know you already mentioned our guest next week, so everybody should just have a great weekend. You're listening to Project Independence in You, Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great weekend, all.